All right, let's dive in. Today we're talking about a stock, ticker symbol NUAI, that has just been on an absolutely wild ride. And honestly, it all kicks off with this one kind of jaw-dropping number.
Yeah, 218%. And what's really insane here is that this wasn't over a year. This was in just over 2 weeks. So how on earth does a stock pull that off? Well, that's exactly what we're going to try and figure out.
So let's take a look at the timeline, right? I mean, look at this. Back in August and early September, it's just quiet, bouncing around under 40 cents. And then boom, September 11th hits, and it's like a rocket just ignited. It shoots all the way up to a peak of $1.44. So the big question is, what's the fuel for a rocket like that?
Okay, to really get what's going on, we gotta put on our detective hats. We need to look at the same charts and data that traders were seeing. You know, the stuff that was screaming, go, go, go. Let's decode those bullish signals.
One of the most fundamental tools for this is something called a moving average. It's actually a pretty simple idea. Think about it like this. Instead of freaking out about whether it's hot one day and cold the next, you look at the average temperature for the whole month. It smooths out all that daily noise and gives you the real picture. Is it getting warmer or is it getting cooler? A moving average does exactly that, but for a stock's price. Okay, but here's where it gets really juicy. There are two main flavors of these averages. You've got the simple one, the SMA, which treats every day the same, but then you have the exponential, the EMA, which gives more weight to what's happening right now. And for NUAI, all of its EMAs are higher than its SMAs. What that tells you is that the recent price action is so strong, it's literally dragging the average up faster. It's not just an uptrend, folks, it's an accelerating one.
And believe me, the good news for the bulls just keeps piling up. Look at the volume. We're talking massive spikes. It's like a giant crowd of buyers all jumping in at once. Then you get these other indicators, the MACD and the ADX. You don't need to be an expert. Just know that they measure momentum and trend strength. And right now, they are both basically screaming from the rooftops that this trend is the real deal. Incredibly strong. So everything is looking amazing, right? The rocket is absolutely soaring. But this is where the plot thickens. Because for every signal that's flashing green, there's another one starting to blink red, warning that this engine might be overheating.
Which leads us right to the million-dollar question. The question anyone looking at this chart has to ask. Is this a rocket to the moon, or is this a bubble that's about to pop? To get a handle on that, we need a new tool. It's called the RSI, or Relative Strength Index. And the best way to think about it is like the tachometer in your car. You know, the thing that shows your RPMs. It tells you how hard the engine is working. And for stocks, anything over 70 is usually considered the red zone. It's a sign that you might be pushing things a little too hard. So, what about NUAI's tachometer? Well, it's not just touching the red zone. It's buried deep in it. We're talking 85.25. That is way, way above that 70 overbought line. For a lot of traders, that's a huge flashing neon sign that says, warning, a pullback might be right around the corner.
And this right here, this slide just lays out the whole drama perfectly. In the green corner, you've got all these signs of incredible strength and momentum. But in the red corner, you have a whole bunch of warnings screaming that the stock is overbought or overextended. It's not just the RSI either. The price is literally trading outside its normal range, and another indicator called the CCI is off the charts. This is the fundamental tug-of-war that's happening right now. So, where do we go from here? How does this whole tug-of-war play out? Well, looking at the charts, we can map out 3 potential scenarios, and it all comes down to a few really important price levels to watch. First up is the ceiling. That recent peak at $1.44, that's the big one. That's the resistance. If this rally has any more gas in the tank, it absolutely has to punch through that level.
And on the flip side, you have the floor. Right around $1.25, that's the support level where buyers have been stepping in to prop the price up. If things start to turn south, that's the level that needs to hold, or it could see a much bigger drop.
Okay, so those levels give us our 3 possible futures. Scenario 1, the bullish breakout. The bulls win, they smash right through that 144 ceiling and just keep running. Scenario 2, neutral consolidation. The stock basically takes a timeout. It trades sideways for a while, letting everyone catch their breath. And scenario 3, the bearish pullback. Those red flags were right, people start taking profits, and the stock falls back down to test that support floor at 125.
So when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway from this perfect storm of signals? It really boils down to one thing. You're dealing with extreme, and I mean extreme, volatility.
You know, this quote from the analysis we looked at just nails it. It says, "While the long-term trend appears bullish, the short-term risk of a correction is elevated." That's the whole story in a nutshell. The big picture looks great, but in the here and now, the risk of a sharp drop is high. It's like the stock is walking a tightrope.
And if you want to put a number on that risk, here it is. This is the average true range. It's basically a measure of how much a stock swings around on a typical day. And for NUAI, it's telling us to expect a daily trading range of nearly 21%. That is just a massive amount of volatility. So these big swings, they're probably not going away anytime soon.
So here's the big picture wrap-up. Is NUAI in a powerful uptrend? Yes, absolutely. It's undeniable. But is it also stretched thin? You bet. Think of a rubber band pulled as far as it can go. That's where we are, making it super vulnerable to a sudden snapback.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. Whenever you see a stock that gets this hot, with this much hype and this much momentum, how do you make a decision? How do you balance that fear of missing out, that pull of the crowd, with what the cold, hard data is telling you? And that really is the challenge at the very heart of NUAI's wild ride.